Men, what is love? I used to work with a lot of couples from places like India and Pakistan where arranged marriages were the norm. They seemed like some of the happiest, most functional marriages I'd ever seen. After about a decade of that pattern, I started asking them if they thought that might be true, and if so, why? The answer I got over and over again was, to us, love is a decision rather than a feeling. They would make a conscious decision to foster, create, and tend love rather than hope to fall into it with the right person. And eventually, those decisions and actions led to the feelings. I really took that to heart, and it has changed my life. I make mindful decisions every day to be loving toward my husband, and I ask for the same in return. You could say that it's our contract, and those decisions, stacked up, lead to me naturally fall in love over and over again. And they help when the feelings of love seem diminished because of some tiff or stress. Right now, my husband's work is unbelievably short-staffed. He's a psychiatrist, so he's known working crazy hours. His mindset has helped me tremendously during this stressful time. It's hard to feel neglected or resentful when he's making sure every day to do something loving, even when he's barely got any energy left, and on my end, it really helps me not get into resentment about the extra work I have to do for our household, because those extra little things are made much more pleasant if done in the mindset of a loving act rather than an obligation. A love contract. That's a power move if I've ever seen one. Story 2. Let me see if I can explain this. I wake up every day and the first thing I do is check my phone to see if she's texted me. My heart fills up when she does and gets so sad when she doesn't. But even when she doesn't text at first, I usually get some variation of, "Good morning, handsome. I hope you have a great day." Eventually, it's like a 40% boost to my happiness each day. There's a pep in my step, if you will. I'm constantly thinking of ways to make her laugh or make her happy. I look at her and think, I don't know what I did to get this woman, but I damn sure don't want to lose her. She frustrates the absolute crap out of me sometimes, and at the end of every day, I have zero doubt. She's the woman I want to live this life with. I don't even like the other women's pictures on social media anymore. It's like I've become blind to other beautiful women. Yeah, you're attractive, but I don't want you. I want her. I don't desire you. I desire her. She makes me better. She's my cheerleader. She's everything I've ever wanted in a woman. Sexy, intelligent, intimidating, driven, kind, crazy, cool. I've been in so many absolute crappy relationships. I used to think, yeah, I've dated some good girls. I was so wrong. I thought I had good girlfriends because they were my only comparison. But then I found her and it's like, holy crap, I've dated some trash. She randomly scratches my head and back and I purr like a walrus. She buys me random gifts. I could ramble for hours about how amazing she is. I hate that she owns my heart because she could damage it so easily. It's fragile in her hands, but she treats it like it's surrounded by pillows. So to me, that is love. I love her. Story 3. Love is sacrifice, and the willingness, the eagerness to do so. I've thought that I've loved people many times, but when I'm honest with myself, I know that I've only ever loved one person. It wasn't my mom, kid sibling, or favorite dog. The only person I've ever loved was my ex-fiancé. There was nothing she could ask of me that I wouldn't do. Every single thing I did, from how early I planned on waking up to how late I would stay up and everything that happened in between. I woke up early every weekday to make us the food for breakfast and pack us lunch. She usually wouldn't eat breakfast, but liked waking up to the smell of it. I would wake her up gently with coffee in hand, exactly how she liked it. Almost entirely creamier and flavorings, barely any actual coffee. Every time she showered or took a bath, I would throw some towels and her bathrobe in the dryer and would go about wherever I was doing until I either heard the water turn off for a shower or got a text, "I'm ready for a bath," and would bring her the towels while keeping the robe going in the dryer. I would help dry her off, and while she put her hair up, I'd go grab the toasty warm robe and would go back to whatever I was doing. I would rub her stinky feet every time she placed them on my lap or under my when they were frozen, one at a time to ensure my back stayed maximum chilled. We made love almost every day. Usually more than once a day until she got pregnant and I started working all the time to afford the medical bills and a wedding cash. I lived debt free, so it was either work to save and pay cash or don't do it. My heart would flutter every time I saw her. Whether it was the morning gremlin or the dolled up date night version of her, I've seen her crying in the toilet, taking a nasty crap when she asked me to come in and hold her, and I did without complaint and only a couple gags. Meeting her made me a better person, and a better partner than I'd ever been before, and I was grateful for it. Love is seeing someone at their best and their worst and not wavering in your affection. Love is wanting to be your best self and helping them be their best self. Love is supporting their good decisions, reinforcing their good decisions, and not rewarding or engaging in their bad ones. Love is hard, and love hurts forever when it ends. She terminated our baby because she was mad at me for working so much to be able to afford the baby and a wedding. I love that baby too, and leaving her was the hardest decision I've ever made. Sorry for breaking your heart if you read this whole thing too. Story 4. I hate to be that guy, but I was previously married. I've been in multiple relationships since, and I always heard, you'll know when you feel it. I just assumed something was wrong with me because I never got that feeling. I had a rough childhood, so I didn't feel it with any family member. I didn't feel it with my ex-wife. I didn't feel it before her or after her, until my fiance. Let me tell you, that old saying may be silly and seem like a scapegoat, but it's true. Getting a simple text from her at work will bring a big dumb smile to my face. Seeing her interact with kids gives me flashes of my future. What's more, me, a person whose family means nothing to myself, I carried that into my previous relationships and never felt connected to their families. With her family, I feel so at home and I genuinely enjoy spending time with them. Story 5. I honestly think it's more like a business. Like any relationship you might have with anybody, for me it's like a contract where you acknowledge the will to try and make the other person happy, in exchange for the same thing. Even with somebody who's just a friend, would you keep being a friend with somebody when you feel they don't try to at least give you a good time when you guys are together? Codependency seems, to me, to be the right word to describe it. In a monogamous relationship, it's like a more exclusive kind of codependency. I think we're a really self-centered species. When you meet somebody new, what is the process like? Firstly, when you meet a person and start talking to each other, it's probably because the one starting the conversation has something to gain from it, something they need, or simply wanting to find a potential partner. And then, the time with the other person isn't that good. I'll leave it at that. Same situation, but the person is quite attractive, so you have a few dates, which might not go anywhere, but still gets you to the person who makes you feel you're somewhat high in social hierarchy due to them being attractive. The moment with them is enjoyable, and you do what you can to keep it going. Not because the person has some kind of sparkle in their aura, but simply because you want to feel entertained. I don't know. The moment is enjoyable and they are attractive. We all know how we'd like this to end. It's like investing in stock. We try to buy or keep what, at a first glance, makes us feel like something likely to give us something good in the future. We want to feel happy, desired, financially stable, etc., etc. The list goes on. How frequently do you find yourself falling for a person you think is not pretty and clearly not able to get their life on the right track when they're single? We all have these kinds of needs. I think we try to invest in somebody who can make it easier for us, not because they're perfect and our hearts pump only for them, but because we need all these things in the long run and prefer ignoring the weird-looking and boring person who invited us to a date and try to keep looking for a better investment. I think people might answer something like, well, my friend's wife is really good-looking and rich, but he's tired of her and wants to leave her because of stuff. Well, I bet that happens and the contrary as well, but I also think that people in these sorts of situations, especially when you have lots of things together, like kids and property, will only leave the person they're with either when in despair or if they feel like they can get something better, aka another person. After investing so much, why would you consider leaving a stable relationship or life if you thought you'd only be able to find something worse? Love, between friends, relatives, girlfriend, or boyfriend, really feels like a beautiful way of saying codependency. Well, I don't know if this answers anything. I'd never put this much thought into the matter, and honestly, thought it was quite interesting to think about, so please bear with me. Story 6. I've fallen in love for the first time. Just watching her smile made my day. Hearing her call my name was one of the best feelings ever. When she came over for the first time, my house felt like a home. I didn't know why, but I knew she was the one for me. I felt like time stopped and I held her in my arms and she stared into my eyes. I felt like I could do anything for her, and I felt invincible when she was with me. We both completed each other. I loved her to bits and could do anything for her, only if she saw me the same way as I see her. Now I'm trying to move on after things ended. All my joy disappeared when she left, but I feel my love was real. She made me better than I already was, and helped me be comfortable in my own skin. I just wish it weren't a lesson and our love was still intact. Time to dust off the breakup playlist and order some ice cream. Story 7. Everything. Familiar, romantic, or platonic. Every gesture and every word. I don't think it's something you can reduce to a unique concept. There's just too many ways of showing love. When my partner wakes up before I do, but doesn't wake me up so I can rest for a bit longer. When my mother buys me a candy bar. When my father does a silly little dance with me after eating. When a friend brings up something I mentioned time ago, something I even had forgotten, or sing songs with me while they're driving, even though they don't know the lyrics. My roommate saying something I cooked smells delicious, a stranger saying they like my style or clothes, someone telling me they love me or miss me. For me, saying I love them and I miss them. So many ways of showing affection and love. Story 8. To me, love is the thought of not wanting to be without that person for a minute. They're away from you, like when they're at work or have been gone for several hours. It's being worried you're going to lose your best friend someday to sickness or age. It's when you can't wait to come home to the person to be in their company. The feeling of safety and comfort you get when you embrace. It's when you're sleeping next to them that you start as they sleep thanking God they exist in your life. It's that feeling you get when you kiss or make love together. Love is an action. It's hard to describe. To some, love is a word they say to get in someone's pants. But true love is a feeling of being complete. Story 9. A choice, an action or state of being, kindness and sacrifice. It's never a feeling. It just sells music. The feelings are affirmation, infatuation, and a desire for intimacy in all the many ways we long to connect. Love isn't a longing. It has no deficit that it directly causes. Though a deficit may be caused in its absence, it is given from one to another to provide a positive addition to the world, giving from one heart to mend and nurture another heart. It's used the world over as a justification for anything and everything that a person may wish to rationalize. For their own loss, they rely on love for what it isn't and are never fed or healed. They wander alone in crowded streets and wonder at the world's cruelty without knowing anything. Experts of water perishing from thirst for not recognizing it. Story 10. Love is coming home from work every day, regardless of how crappy a day it was, and grumpily taking the trash out that was left at the front door. Then walking into the bedroom only to find that you forgot to do laundry last night so you don't have your clothes for tomorrow. Seeing this, you grumble and accept losing a couple of hours sleep to finish that up. Luckily, your wife hears you grumbling and, without saying anything, picks up the hamper and goes to throw them in the wash. The feeling you get in that moment, you can't describe it because it would take more pages than exist. But it's love. Love is knowing that your wife just, with one action, made your entire crappy day vanish. Love is understanding that she never expects to have the favor returned, but actively hunting for opportunities anyway just to help her feel what you feel in that moment. The classic trash duty and laundry surprise. True love indeed. Story 11. Love for who? Your family? Unconditional and unwavering. My nephews have my undivided attention when they want it, and I'll happily buy them stuff when I agonize over treating myself. My sisters always have my ear to vent to or shoulder to cry on. Friends? Similar to family, really. Our friends are the family we get to choose. Best are the ones where you can pick up where you left off no matter the time between meetings and can always make you smile with an inside joke. Partner, in my limited experience, I realized we shared emotions. Her happiness made me happy and vice versa. Sometimes it's the little things. Remembering they like a certain snack, so buying that en route to their house. My youngest nephew insists on having hot chocolate when I have my morning coffee and sits next to me. Big gestures are nice, but consistent little things seem to be better. Story 12. For me, the love I feel for my wife is like we're extensions of each other, like a team sailing a boat. We have independent roles and are individual, but both of our goals and needs flow in the same direction, if that makes sense. My wife's challenges become my own, even if they don't involve me and they aren't mine to resolve. I feel them because they affect our relationship. Because of that, I genuinely care about everything in our life because it is my life too. I only have one friend I would say that I love. That love is like a North Star. We're not always aware of it and sometimes even forget about it, but when we need it, it's there. And it's easy to find every time. Love for family, in my situation, feels a little like a souvenir from when I was young. Can't get rid of it because it means something and represents a great thing in my life, but if I don't look for it, I could easily forget it. Story 13. Aside from the absolutely funny jokes in this thread, for me, love is that feeling of excitement that can't be contained when around the ones you love. An amazing feeling of butterflies when you and your lover are cuddled up in bed under the covers. The dedication of staying with someone through the toughest times. I got extremely lucky with my fiancée. Epilepsy started when I was 24 and she quite literally saved my life. She came home from work and found me face down. Top it off, she almost went to the store on her way home but came to see if I wanted to go with her. If she hadn't, I'd probably have passed away, the doctor said. Her and I are still together, and she has to hold down the finances because my epilepsy is kicking my back. Love is giving a cream to stop them from seizing. Love is recording the seizure for your doctor's medical records to help them identify your exact problem. Love is putting up with me. Story 14. When you wish, with all your being, that they're as happy and comfortable as they possibly can be, doing everything you can do to help them achieve that. It's supporting them in whatever they set their mind to. It's listening to them and letting them know that they can always come to you and you'll be on their side. Or gently help them see why you're not. It's understanding that every problem, every issue, every situation It's both of you against it, not you against them. Being able to communicate clearly and without fear of repercussions, it's giving yourself entirely to them, knowing that they have power to utterly shatter you, but trusting that they won't. It's also lighting up as soon as you get to see them, and even a text message notification from them puts you in a better mood. It's respecting their boundaries and having them respect yours. It's comfortable enough that you can have your own lives, circle of friends and hobbies and interests, while still sharing quality time with each other. It's not having to change a single thing of yourself, or wanting them to change a single thing of theirs, but accepting that people are meant to grow and change over time, and hope that you both grow in the same direction. And there's so much more to it than just that. The truth is that this is an ideal. It will most likely not be the case for the vast majority of the population. In almost every case, there will have to be compromises and sacrifices. You'll need to work on changing things about yourself that they don't like, and many times for good reason, while helping them do the same for you. Relationships will usually require a lot of energy and effort to maintain, and that's okay. Story 15. Loving someone is accepting someone as they are. Not always agreeing with them, not enabling bad behavior, but still accepting that they are who they are. They're family. You love your parents even if they aren't perfect. You love your grandparents even if they are still a bit prejudiced and you hate that. You love your brother even if you can't stand to be in the same room with him because he's such a schmuck. You love your ex-wife even if you can't be married to her because she cheated on you and left you. Love isn't something you can turn off. Being in love is finding someone attractive, physically and or emotionally. When you're in love, you put up with bad behavior or do foolish things because you want to be with that person. This attraction phase is supposed to last long enough to decide if you love them, but it waxes and wanes throughout a relationship. Divorce rates are around 50% now because people don't understand the difference and think being in love should be what marriage is, forever. That is like thinking you were depressed because you were not happy 24/7. Happy and sad are supposed to be temporary states of being. Hormonal attraction is the same. Loving someone is a choice that, once made, is irrevocable, even if you cannot remain in a relationship. Story 16. Love is a complex reaction, and I don't know if it's just me, but the older I get, the less interested I am in it. I love my family and I love my friends so much that I'll do anything for them, but relationship kind of love has always been something I can't seem to perfectly understand as much as I would want to. I was in my first relationship at the age of 23 and it was looking so beautiful until the repeated arguments. We took a break of almost 1 year and got back together and it didn't seem like much changed. I loved her as a person, but I just couldn't be what she wanted. And I didn't want to break her heart like I did the first time. We broke up finally a couple of weeks ago and she didn't take it well. Now I'm trying to be in a relationship with another girl I met when I took a year-long break from my first relationship. It's going well so far, but the construct of love seems so alien to me. I feel like I rushed getting with her to forget my ex. I'm a very open person and easily carefree and would help anybody, but I don't think that's the love people are talking about. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button for more videos like this. Story 17. As I have aged, some specifics about how I would define love, and in what order, have changed. But the overall definition of being in the same team has been a constant theme. My wife and I got married when we were 19 or 20. In those early years, love was more about desire. If I'm being honest with myself, we both cared for each other deeply and wanted each other to be happy and healthy in life, but it was the primary driver for me, at least. In my late 20s and early 30s, love was primarily defined by raising our family. The sacrifices made for each other to ensure our family life was good was the major theme. Finishing college, foregoing things we wanted to do to save for a house and kids, my wife retiring to become a homemaker, and spending whatever small moments we had with each other were how we showed our love. We're now in our late 30s and our kids are much more independent. They still require some attention. Homeschooling and after-school activities being perhaps the largest time sink these days. But my wife and I are beginning to focus more on each other. Life is turning into experiencing new things together. This phase of our love seems dominated by new life experiences. Nothing too crazy, but things like ice skating for the first time or going to the orchestra. For me, as we grow together, love has been evolving and changing. Different stages of our life require us to show our love in different ways. Story 18. Love is the comfort of wanting to be with someone for who they are, not what they can do for you. To appreciate each other and help each other move forward in the best and worst of times. To choose to take care of yourself and have your significant other support you in that process. Love is not the temporary fling or the crush and rush of endorphins. Love is not the ability to make sacrifices for each other, but the willingness to collaborate and make a life together. Life is not kind, it is not gentle, but if you have a partner who tries to understand, somebody who actually took the time to get to know you, life will never be lonely. At times, it may be really difficult, and at those times, understanding and compromise will show how much people really care about you and how much you really care about them. My wife and I have only been together for almost a decade, and not all of it has been good, but even at the worst of times, when our marriage was failing, she tried to understand and work together with me. We may not always see eye to eye, but we can always find a middle ground. Story 19. Love is many, many things and difficult to define. While many posts here have spoken of certain elements or situations of love, there's one that's sometimes overlooked, as many perceive love as integrated in feelings and emotions. While occasionally love is just choices, and sometimes those choices are going against your emotions for someone else's need or wishes or emotions, etc., love can be an action which sucks for you to make if it makes things better for someone else, or even emotionless if it benefits someone else. But likewise, it can be love to choose an egoistic action that benefits you because you can also love yourself. Love is complex and comes in many shapes and forms. But if love here means romantic love, then that's, among other things, respect for each other, partnership as equals, best friends, and trust. Story 20. Female here. I love my friends. My girlfriends are amazing, but most are crappy wives. They said I do too much and I do too much for everyone, but here it is. Love is both of you working, but you've been running around in heels all day, and instead of throwing together some crappy casserole, you make an amazing meal because you treat your man like a goddamn king. Then attend to the kids who get homemade everything. Love is not doubting. It's about recognizing another person's pain and wanting to fix it. It's putting the other person first and really doing it. It's about making sure your partner feels valued. It's about slipping a note under his ascot so when he gets ready in the morning and you leave before he does, he knows you're thinking of him. It's making his coffee or sending him lunch at the office because you know he has back-to-back meetings and a month-end report is due, and he now has another territory to take over. It's about sending the kids away and getting a sitter spontaneously and having a romantic evening. It's about being absolutely wild for your partner and doing things that make you happy because they're happy. It's waiting at home with Smith and Walensky steaks, bare and heels with his favorite hot sauce, knowing the other person, loving all their flaws, taking all the self-hating and pain, self-doubt the world's thrown at them, and loving them so hard that the past doesn't matter. But most of all, love is blind faith. It's going on, not knowing what the outcome is, just loving a person so much that you believe they'll never hurt you. Love is beautiful, natural and organic, pure. Story 21. It's where they love you because of you and not because of your looks or size, where you're the only man she wants occasionally have fights, but she always understands and stays with you where you can just pour out all of your problems. Because you have that level of trust, and no matter what happens, she stays by your side and helps you through anything where you're the only man she needs in her life. Where she allows you to have friends that are girls, but tells you when she gets uncomfortable, then you just talk about it. And you are just the happiest man whenever you see her face and when you show each other that you care about each other. And you just want to be together through anything and everything. Story 22. I was actually explaining this to someone the other day. Not everyone wears glasses, so I'll do my best to elaborate. Falling in love is really similar to the first time you put on glasses. I was in 5th grade when I got my glasses, so I remember it well. The important thing to note is that I didn't know what I was missing. I enjoyed paintings, sunsets, mountaintop views, all of it. But then I put on my glasses. For a moment, I was in bliss. Because of the glasses themselves, that's the honeymoon phase of falling in love, the act of seeing things clearly made me happy. And I got used to it. That didn't matter though, because now my threshold for happiness had increased. The fact that I could see so clearly made a good movie great. It made a nice painting beautiful. That's what being in love is like. It complements all your experience, makes them better. Contrary-wise, if you don't wear any, you can imagine what losing your glasses would be like. For a while, the act of not having glasses would make you upset. Damn, I can't even believe I lost my glasses. But that would wear off. However, you'd be left with a nagging feeling that everything nice you're doing could be just a little bit better. So now even things that make you happy make you kind of sad. And that's what it's like when falling in love doesn't work out. Story 23. You don't expect it at first. I didn't. Both times I've been in love. The first one is clean and pure. It's just happy. Then the second time you're timid. You're afraid of getting hurt. You're committing too early to this person. One day you just realize it. You love them. Seeing their face and hearing their voice. Sometimes you're upset with them though, but you don't want to fight, as angry as you are at the moment and infinite times. Yes, you get tired of things, little problems, just random stuff, but you let it go because you have the person you love. Falling in love is sweet. Bitter sweet though. There's a myth, a Greek one. Humans used to have 4 arms, 4 legs, 2 heads, and 2 hearts. Zeus was worried that the humans would become too powerful, so he cut them in half. So you spend the rest of your life looking for your other half, literally, and you feel whole once you find them. Falling in love is beautiful and painful, invigorating and intoxicating. You can't get enough of it, but you're worried about getting too much. Story 24. I've never understood why people keep telling me to open myself up to love. I've been there. I've been so gloriously in love, it felt like I was floating. I've been so passionately in love, it felt like dancing all the time. I've been so desperately in love, he permeated every single thought I would have. I've been so foolishly in love, I gave him myself without knowing if he was giving anything back. I've been so resiliently in love. I waited longer than I should have for him, heartbreak after heartbreak, all because it was supposed to be worth it. Because someday I could tell the tale of my epic storybook romance and ride off into the sunset with my curly-haired prince. Well, that didn't happen. I don't know whether the people who tell me this are stronger than I am or haven't actually been in love. It wasn't worth it. To devote a part of yourself to someone else, even the tiniest part, it's not worth it. Nevertheless, even the strongest resolve can be broken with the right hammer. That's what happened. I met the sweetest, most amazing guy who chipped away at my walls till I couldn't help but fall in love again. But obviously, this time was different. There was none of the glorious, passionate, desperate, foolish, resilient love from the first time around. It wasn't that it was boring or that I was less in love or anything like that. I had scars that refused to heal and a few years' worth of maturity this time. This was a more comfortable love, where the love itself keeps you so warm it doesn't matter how far away you are from each other, where the love feels so old you consider spending your life together without meeting, where love takes care of you and so you let yourself get attached to the one you love, the one who says he loves you back. You carry pain and hurt, so you make mistakes in this love, many, many mistakes. You keep coming back to each other. God knows why. You try to ignore the voices in your head telling you you're not good enough. You let the warmth spread through your heart and your body, asking your brain's feeble protest, so don't let yourself go this time, because this time, he promised he won't hurt you. This time he said he loves you too. This time they'll be right. This time it'll be worth it. Then you figure out you're not what he wants. Again, and you're lost. Story 25. Falling in love is an odd feeling. Considering my few relationships, I can honestly say I truly only fell in love once. Truly in love head over heels. But how do I describe it? Well, considering the relationship never worked out, it's quite an odd feeling. Even to this day, more than a year after the only few weeks that I truly had with this girl that had a chance, I still feel love towards her. To plainly describe it, it completely blows your mind away. It's such a feeling that can't be described. I fell in love with a girl that I could never have. So perhaps the very beginning feeling of love was prolonged. In my opinion, true love doesn't have borders, so it doesn't go away. She's still a very touchy subject, and I swear every time I think about her, my eyes tear up and I have this burning sensation in my heart. It kind of just stops beating for a bit while I remember her. But it comes back. Always comes back. As I sit here now, beating myself up for the mistakes that I made, trying to explain the feeling I get whenever I think about her, tears flow from my eyes and my heart is burning up. Feels like it's on fire. Your world stops. Don't know what to do. Any action in the hopes of success, even with the smallest chances, become your number one priority. Your mind no longer works. It becomes more automatic, willing and ready to do absolutely anything for her. But how do I know that it's love and not desire that so many mistake for love? Well, because I want nothing else from her but to just sit there, look into her gorgeous blue eyes and listen to her beautiful voice as she talks about the most random thing of all. I don't crave her intimately. I sometimes want to just kiss her, but there's no desire otherwise. I'm gonna go cry now. Story 26. Falling in love is like this. First, you want to be with them every day because they're just so awesome. You want to be surrounded by their presence. Then you start to notice little things about them. Maybe she pulls at her hair or he picks at his nails when he's bored. Those things start to eat at you. You don't know why, but they start scraping at your soul and you just have to leave every time they start doing it. But you stay and make excuses for you leaving because they're still awesome. Just that one thing is awful. But then more things start eating at you. The way he cleans the dishes or how she seems to not be enjoying the jokes you have anymore. Eventually you say something, in passing, about these little soul-crushing things. This turns into a fight and yelling and screaming. Eventually you don't know what you're fighting about and you're doing it just to release tension. Then you have make-up intimacy, but it isn't enough. And you know it's not right, but you go to bed angry because you like the feeling. Somehow this becomes something that happens weekly. You fight, have intimacy, you go to bed angry, and in the morning everything is okay. But it's not. The fights now last longer. There isn't any more intimacy and you just want to be out of the house, so you go out. Maybe you flirt with some attractive person. You get those butterflies again and you remember all the good times you had with your significant other in the beginning. So when you go home, they're sitting on the couch reading a book and they look up at you as you come in, smile softly and go back to reading. Suddenly you're overcome with this great crushing happiness. And all you want to be is right next to them, annoying the crap out of them as they read whatever book it is, just so you're in their presence because they're just that awesome. So you walk over, kiss them, apologize for the fighting, and promise to make everything better. Story 27. The day I realized I was in love was the same day my grandfather passed away. There have been two images that have been flashing in my mind over and over since my grandfather's passing. One is the sight of him taking his last breath, the stillness in the air as everyone waited to see if he would breathe again when in our hearts, we knew he never would. It was my first time being in the same room as Fate. Fate, until that moment, had been merely a phone call, a hand that held mine and whispered gently in my ear. It was childlike. Now you see me, now you don't. No one tells you that there's a split second between life and passing that temporarily is awful and every living being who witnesses it. And even when it spits you back out, it stays with you. Like the way you smell like bacon after you stand in the same room where someone's been frying it. No matter how much you comfort yourself with the thought of how old he was or how full of life he lived or how much love filled the room where he passed away, you will find yourself having out a few solitary tears during your morning shower. And you will squint your eyes to keep from crying as you remember it throughout the day. The other image that flashes in my mind is the image of my boyfriend embracing my mother, whispering the words of comfort that I could not hear, words that were meant only for her. I offered to drive home that night. After all, my boyfriend doesn't even have his license with him. As we are about to turn onto the street that leads to my house, he says he'll stay the night with me if I want him to. I don't answer. I just glance over at him. I slow the car down at the intersection and he points out that the light is green. No one tells you that there is a split second before you realize you're in love. That is the twin brother of the split second before passing. It is a moment where you retreat into your soul more than you ever have in your life, only so you can release yourself in a projectile motion toward the soul of another person. It is a moment in your life when you are the most alive. I'm going to say something to you and I'm going to stop thinking about it too much and analyzing it. I love you. I really do. The words keep replaying in my head over and over, and that's how I know I need to tell you. I love you too, he says. He places his hand on my knee and I keep driving, feeling my heart spill over. Story 28. Love is when she calls you at 2 a.m., asking for a ride home and you've got your keys in your hand before you hang up. Love is when you lay on the bed in the afternoon just chatting about how things are going and how her days were. Love is skipping a few meals so you can buy her dinner on Friday night. Love is when you mess up so terribly bad in your life, you feel that the walls are coming down, but she's there to hold them apart and tell you it'll all work out. Love is devising a double elimination round-robin rock-paper-scissors bracket for your favorite movies to decide which one to watch. Love is sitting in a restaurant chatting and sipping on your drink until you realize an hour has passed and they're closing. Love is laying on the floor, crying your eyes out, holding each other. Love is the terrifying wait for her time of the month to arrive and it's over a week behind schedule and all of the life rearranging you do inside your head in that week. Love is not being able to fathom a life where you don't wake up next to each other, where your life's ambitions suddenly take a back seat because you just want to give her everything, where your wildest dreams are nothing compared to the reality of owning a home together, raising children, being the best parents you could be. I'm leaving out the most important part. Love is knowing that out there in the cold world of 7 billion people, there's somebody who has no prior relation to you but has decided to welcome you into their lives. That action of allowing your own life to get altered by a stranger is the most beautiful fact of it all and makes me feel so warm inside. It makes me feel like a king to know that I have a queen. Story 29. It's like a person that knows really well and feels super comfortable around. Your best friend. Not someone, but the one who you feel most comfortable around. You text them all the time and have a great laugh with them. Like talk about absolutely nothing and a whole day goes by. You've both been talking and don't even know what about. That person is everything to you. And by that I mean the day is just waiting until you can see them. Everything you do when you aren't with them, you're counting down the hours till you do see them. They are or are part of every single thought that enters your head. You find out something cool or a joke and you're like, oh, I can't wait to tell them that. Every day the dream you have is about them or trying to impress them or just being with them. Every single second of every single day, all you ever think about is them. They are the biggest part of your life. Eventually, they become the voice in your head, literally, the default voice that you think is theirs. They're literally your everything. You would hurt and cry and run and stay out in the rain, travel anywhere at any time, embarrass and humiliate yourself for them, to help them. You put them ahead of you, always give them the last cookie or whatever, and everything, to show them how much you love them. Physically, emotionally, mentally. You just want and ache, literally ache, when you're not in the same room as them, and the only way to make anything better is to be with them. No matter what you're doing, it's crap if you don't do it with them, and anything, even sitting in your room doing nothing with them, is way preferable to going surfing or going out with friends or whatever. It's them, and only them. You extend a part of yourself, for better or worse. You feel complete, like you've been without something for your whole life and you finally found it. Couples. What's the most unromantic thing that has happened between the two of you that actually is a stronger indication of love than others might think? During her first pregnancy, my wife retched every night for her entire second trimester. We went to multiple doctors and took a few trips to the ER. Never got a reason why. The retching happened every night after midnight, sometimes continuing sporadically for 8 hours. Don't know why, but it never happened during the daytime. One night she thought she was finally doing better, so she went to sleep early and seemed fine. Then suddenly around 1 a.m. she jolted awake, which instantly woke me, and tried to run to the bathroom to retch, forgetting the bucket on her bedside table in her moment of panic. Unfortunately, she slipped and fell on her side and retched all over the carpet. She immediately started sobbing. That poor woman went through such a rough time. So I carefully picked her up, took her to the bathroom, held her hair back while she finished stretching up, and cleaned her face and got her some water to rinse her mouth out. I carried her to bed and then got to work cleaning up the carpet. We were just kids, still in college together. Those 3 months of misery galvanized our relationship. Nothing serious has ever come between us in the years since. Just wanted to add, another great side effect of constantly seeing that out of my wife is that we're both completely comfortable around each other's bodily functions. None of this, I don't want my husband to know I do number 2 nonsense. Pregnancy is tough. It makes your relationship ironclad if you work through it together. Story 2. I have a now 12-year-old daughter who's not biologically his. However, she calls him dad now, and he always refers to her as his daughter. When she was about 10, he'd moved in about 6 months, and we were settling into things as a family. I was working, and they were home hanging out, and she got her first period. I had briefly had a couple of small discussions enough that she knew what was happening, but I was pretty unsure what to do. So he handed her some toilet paper, told her the basic girl trick of putting it in her underwear, and took her to the store. He helped her pick out some pads, detoured to the ice cream, chocolate, chips, and bakery section, and picked up Junior Advil just in case. They settled in on the sofa, and he explained the basics of how to use it. Showed her a quick YouTube video, made up a hot water bottle for her, popped her dirty clothes on to soak, and they snuggled and she talked about it and they Googled answers if he didn't have them. I came home to them having a nap on the sofa, looking like a slumber party exploded and a happy child. Probably one of the moments I've loved him the most. Jesus Christ, this guy's a keeper. This one for real got me right in the tear ducts. What a champ. Story 3. My aunt got off the bus at 8 years old crying because she was having her period. I felt it's important to note here that I adore my grandpa and that my grandpa lives his entire life pretending that none of his female offspring have anything. He gets extremely embarrassed and uncomfortable at the mention of childbirth, periods, hair, etc. Anything that reminds him that you don't look like Barbie between your legs. Breastfeeding doesn't count, I know, it surprised me too. He was fine with it compared to everyone else in my family and even said, "Leave him alone, I wouldn't want to eat with a blanket on my head either." When I was trying to use a cover and my son kept kicking it off and fussing. My grandma was at work and my poor masculine conservative grandpa consoled her, reassured her that she was okay and he wasn't going to hurt her. Dug out a pad and told her to get some panties and showed her how to put the pad on them before sending her off to shower and redress. Then proceeded with the misery of explaining what puberty is. He still gets embarrassed when it gets brought up. Story 4. My boyfriend texted me one day when he was at the gym that he believed his back had prolapsed. No idea how, but I started Googling what we needed to do about it. I read that if it wasn't serious, you could just push it back in before going to a doctor, instead of heading to the ER. So what do? Put on a pair of gloves, lube my finger up, and kneel in front of him while he's lying in the bed attempting to push it back. Turns out it was just a giant hemorrhoid when he went to the doctors the next day. But I think that was a moment in our relationship where it was established that we both had complete comfort with each other. If your partner can do that, then nothing is really too disgusting or gross to discuss. Story 5. Definitely pranking each other thoroughly. I spent a little more than a year randomly sending him emails from a man named Nolan. He works in customer service, and I made the most ridiculous case for him to solve involving a balloon business. Once in a while, during a slow time at my job, good old Nolan would email him. Last message was about Nolan asking the Hubs to join him in a doomsday bunker. I finally decided to tell him the truth on our anniversary, which is on April 1st. He got me back this Christmas. He anonymously sent me a super low-rent Chevy Chase coloring book. I greatly disliked Chevy Chase, to put it mildly. He enjoyed me plotting revenge against my friends and even egged me on. He finally admitted the truth on New Year's Eve. I plan to retaliate in the near future. Story 6. Been having a tough 2 weeks that causes my anxiety to get on something, which in turn causes me to become depressive and fold into myself, which my husband recognizes as me trying to freeze everything out until I inevitably explode and have a nervous breakdown. The last 2 weeks he's left me alone, stepped in to help more with the kids and redirected them so they also leave me alone. Now that I'm more or less better, the things that were stressing me out are resolving, and did not have a nervous breakdown. I went and cuddled with him last night and thanked him for giving me space, because he knew I really needed it. Also, he let me wax his once. Story 7. I recently had a second heart catheterization to check my heart for blockages. Thankfully, there were none. Unfortunately, this time they needed to go through my femoral artery and I needed to remain on bed rest for about 4 hours after the procedure. I had not eaten all day in preparation for the surgery, so when I got out, I was famished. The nurse brought me hospital dinner, but I could not sit upright to feed myself. My lovely wife of 10 years, who's been a solid rock for me through this ordeal, was excited at the opportunity to feed me. I'm only 32 years old, so being in the predicament and being unable to feed myself was rather humbling. She happily cut my roast beef and potatoes and fed me a bite at a time. You could just tell that she loved being able to serve me in this way. It was not in any way a burden or a chore or a nuisance. She didn't take advantage of the situation to make a humiliating "here comes the airplane" joke. She just carefully fed me and saw to my needs. I know in her heart she had felt rather useless because all my fear and anxiety was pent up inside. She loved having some way to show that she was there for me in a weak and, frankly, scary moment of my life. She's much better than I deserve, and I'm so crazy in love with her. Story 8. My girlfriend once retched on me while we were having intimacy. Apparently, she wasn't feeling well but still wanted to do it. She got queasy and retched on my chest. I was so shocked I didn't know how to react and struggled not to retch myself out of reflex. She was so embarrassed and immediately got off, tossed in a robe and ran to the bathroom. I cleaned myself off and went after her to check if she was okay. Although she felt physically better after retching, emotionally was so embarrassed and it took me some time to convince her I still loved her and found her attractive after that. The thing is, I was more worried about her than disgusted about being retched on, and that is love. Story 9. 6 months into a new relationship, he and I took a road trip to go meet my parents. On the way down, we stopped at AJ's restaurant in Mountain Home, Idaho. He loaded up on their amazing fried chicken. It was pretty good food for the price. And we went back to our KOA full and sleepy after a long day of driving. It didn't take long for the farts to set in. If you've never smelled it accidentally, or purposely, breathed in a fart that smells and tastes exactly like the food that's causing them. You won't understand the pain of being stuck in a tiny cabin thick with fried chicken farts. If you have, well, you get it. It was awful. The worst of it was, I had left to brush my teeth in the bathroom across the lot, and when I came back, the room was already gassed to a point that made my eyes well up. And upon lifting the blankets to climb into bed, I was met with a waft of hot, fried chicken. I practically fell off the mattress onto the floor, gagging and dry heaving, and all he could do was laugh so hard he couldn't control his farts. We celebrated 10 years together in November. Story 10. My then girlfriend and I went to visit my parents about 90 miles from home after eating Christmas dinner at her parents', so we could go see a play with the whole family the next day. We go to my parents' home, okay, and started getting ready for bed. Everyone was already asleep when I started feeling ill. I retched once or twice in the toilet and then started the non-stop diarrhea. I sat there soiling like the world was ending while retching into a trash can. My girlfriend did her best to take care of me when it hit her too. Luckily, I had stopped, and so she took her turn evacuating out of both ends. While I waited for the next wave to come, there was only one toilet we could use. After taking turns back and forth a couple times, we both realized this wasn't going to end anytime soon. And there was going to come a time when we both would have to make a mess at the same time, and honestly, neither of us had the strength to hold it back for more than the time it took to make it to the toilet from the bed. I remember looking at her as we both laid in bed, racked in pain, while it felt like something was trying to claw its way out. I told her if the time came when we both had to go at the same time, I would squat next to her in the bathtub and soiled there so she could have the toilet. She told me she loved me, and we managed to survive the most horrible night I've ever experienced together. We are now married. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button for more videos like this. Story 11. It was a horrible time for both of us. We were 14 weeks in and learned that our little one did not make it past 10 weeks. Our ultrasound tech said that we needed to immediately see a doctor. We both looked at each other and knew, but we were hoping for the best. That, unfortunately, did not happen. It was her first pregnancy, and we were both over the moon excited. The sobbing began almost immediately after we saw the doc as he explained what was probably a miscarriage. It was. The first few days after were absolute hell, especially after trying for so long. She eventually needed a DNC and after an emergency room visit, and I saw things that I cannot unsee. Although looking back now, I'm glad I did because it showed how amazingly strong she can be. That time has since become known as the Big Sad in our lives. We both understand now that it was not meant to be, and going through it together made us closer than I could have ever imagined. It may sound silly, but hearing other family members and friends go through similar things truly helped the healing process. The story has a happy ending, though. We're currently at 35 weeks and are so excited. Story 12. Early on into my now wife's and our relationship, we were taking our first shower together. Nothing intimate happening, just showering together. It was probably the third or fourth time we had seen one another completely bare. She's washing my back, then moves down to my back. Before I continue, let me set the stage. It's a hot shower, lots of steam, the air is heavy, no exhaust fan in her apartment's bathroom, the door is closed, and obviously the shower curtain is drawn closed as well. Anyway, she's crouching and washing my back. By accident, I let rip the most foul-smelling fart you could imagine. There's complete silence afterwards, and then the smell hit her bad. She quickly stands up and sticks her face outside the shower curtain while coughing and saying, "I can taste it! I can taste it!" I'm stunned into silence. What do you say? She leaves the bathroom and I stand there alone, breathing in Satan's perfume. I'm unsure what to do. Do I finish up and excuse myself and never speak to her again, or do I apologize and act like it wasn't a big deal? I get out of the shower and walk into her bedroom after deciding that I should apologize. She's on the bed with tears in her eyes and red-faced from laughing so hard. I realized right then and there that I'm probably going to marry this woman. She faced a horrible situation and chose to laugh at it instead of choosing to be mad at me. As for how we are now, well, far worse things have left her body since that encounter that I'd like to remind her of, and we laugh about it together. Story 13. My partner and I went on a trip together in 2017 that ended in Washington, D.C. On the last day of our vacation, he got food poisoning, but we didn't realize it until after we'd walked the 2 miles from the train back to the hotel. At which point, I was limping on some pretty bad blisters and just wanted to sit down and elevate my feet. He sat down in the bed to rest and fell asleep before even getting his shoes off. And then I noticed that he had a really high fever. For a little while, I tried to just keep a cold cloth on his face and make him drink water, but his fever got so high that he started to hallucinate. And at one point, he wasn't sure who I was. The ice machine was broken and the manager of the hotel wouldn't help me, but the security guard offered to keep an eye on our room to make sure that my partner didn't wander off if I wanted to go buy some ice and medicine. So I put my shoes back on and limped down the hill back towards the nearest pharmacy. I recall thinking to myself at that moment, man, I must really love this guy. If it was just me, I'd just suffer. Thankfully, I found a little tapas place I hadn't previously noticed in the way there, and they were able to give me some ice. When I took my shoes off, my feet were wounded. I spent all night nursing my partner through the worst case of food poisoning I've ever seen and managed to get us to the airport on time the next day. It was pretty par for the course for that trip. It was our worst vacation ever, and we're pretty sure we should just never go back to DC. But at least it's memorable. Story 14. Hopefully my husband doesn't see this, but basically one time I had this horrible pain in the lower right quadrant of my abdomen. I had it for months and nothing helped. I got a load of tests, a CAT scan and an ultrasound, and yet nothing came up. Anyway, we thought it might have been a kidney infection or something, and his dad that worked in the medical field told us that if you did have one, your whiz would smell weird and it would have like white flecks. Some other important info. I have zero sense of smell, so I can't really smell my whiz. And I was super desperate at that point and in tears because of how much pain I was in. Anyway, he offered to smell my whiz for me, but we needed some healthy whiz to compare if it smelled weird or not, so we both whizzed in cups and he smelled both of them with his eyes closed. Sadly for him, they both smelled pretty strong. And he couldn't really tell anything from smelling them, but it was the thought that counts. I still don't know what the pain is, to be honest. And I have a colonoscopy scheduled, and hopefully that clears things up for me. And my husband doesn't have to go around smelling my whiz. Story 15. Our second son was born right after our 7th wedding anniversary. We had a 5-year-old at the time, but you forget in 5 years how hard that initial baby stage is. We were so tired all the time, walking around like zombies. My husband was a new elementary principal at the time. I was teaching preschool. One night we walked up to Taco Bell. Walking baby always helped when he was fussy. We're sitting there, eating, trying to relax as much as new baby parents can, with a very precious 5-year-old chatting away too. Both exhausted, when my husband looked at his watch, looked at me, lifted his Pepsi in the air to cheers and said, "Happy anniversary." We both started laughing. Neither of us had even realized it was the date. Our 5-year-old made a big deal out of it, and I'm sure we seemed pathetic to anyone who saw us, but we just smiled at each other and realized this was life. And the fact that we could both laugh about it was a good sign. We celebrated our 27th year together in 2018. Story 16. My girlfriend had just moved to a new city to live with me, so while we had known each other for a long time, everything was new to her, while I had my regular stuff going on. Well, as so much is regular when a girlfriend moves in. My coworkers and I met my girlfriend for lunch, and things were going well. Until I trusted a fart. I panicked at this point, as I didn't know how she would react to the news of me soiling myself, so I made a lame excuse to go home before going back to work. But she knew something was awry. I then proceeded to arrive home, threw away said drawers, and laundered the soil jeans. Crisis averted. Or so I thought. After much texting and pressure, I admitted to my girlfriend that I had charted and the jeans were in the wash. I was sure at that point that I would come home to an empty house. Instead, I came home to nicely folded jeans with a post-it that just sharp pants. We've been married for almost 9 years. Story 17. We respected each other enough to take a break that lasted a year and a half. We had been together for 8 years and were still having a really rough patch and didn't want to be together, but didn't want to be apart either. We still thought we should end up together, but during that time, we didn't deserve each other and it was toxic. I moved out, but not super far away. At first, we agreed to only talk once a week unless important circumstances came up. We both went on 1 to 2 extremely failed dates even. After a few months, we started flirting and laughing together again. Within 6 months, we were back sleeping together on occasion. Within a year, we were secretly dating because we didn't want family or friends to have a bit of influence as to what was going on. That time for ourselves allowed for personal growth that was 100% necessary in order for us to grow together. Full disclosure, I was not on board with this in the beginning. I never gave up on us. I was willing to wait an eternity. Within a year of being back together, we got pregnant and married, and this year, we will celebrate all 15 years together, and we never forget to acknowledge our time apart because it was highly instrumental in our journey. Who knew a year and a half of personal growth could be the secret ingredient to a lasting relationship? Story 18. 10 years ago, I was set up with a guy through a friend. A bunch of us stayed over at this friend's house because we were running a 5K the next day, and mostly at a pre-party. This guy and I flirted all night and decided that we needed to cuddle intoxicated. Found an air mattress and snuggled. It was legit a nice guy. No expectations of anything from me. At some point in the middle of the night, I managed to get off the air mattress and make it to the bathroom to retch. I made it in time. Close one. The next morning, I woke up at dawn for the race. Nice guy starts laughing at me. Apparently, when I came back to bed, he asked me if I was all right. I said I retched, but I was good. Oversharing is caring, and he asked if I made it to the toilet. I said no. Say what? He asked where he was, and I screamed, "In the sink!" and fell asleep. Nice guy went to the bathroom, and sure as hell, mess in the sink. He cleaned it all up for me. Shoved hunks of mess down the drain and everything. He cleaned up the sink for someone he knew for 4 hours. We've been married almost 6 years now, and our code for any time we need help from each other is, "In the sink." Hey babe, you need backup putting together the IKEA shelving? No, hon, I'm not in the sink yet. I love him. What are signs that someone truly loves you and it's not just desires? This is short and simple and it hits pretty well. Love is when you support each other and want the best for the other person. You help them change for the better, they help you change for the better. Together you become better people, have a better life, and are more happy. An example, making the sacrifice part more visible. I sacrifice my free afternoon to buy stuff, cook, and make a nice dinner and evening plan for my partner. Because I know my partner had a long day, comes home late, and will be exhausted. This makes life much better for my partner and helps it easing the hard day into a good ending. And my partner did the same for me in the past and will do in the future. We encourage each other to push for our dreams, which is proactive and takes time and energy, and support each other in reaching them. I had a not-so-good relationship in the past. In that one, I felt held back. When the relationship ended, I noticed it is much easier for me to reach my dreams without getting held back from my ex. It is totally different from my current partner. With my current partner, it is easier to reach my goals and dreams because of the support I get. That's the difference. When I talk about the past, and I mean like 15 years ago, I'm with my partner for almost 10 years now, and our bond grows only stronger. So, basically, love is like a really good co-op video game where you both level up? I'm in. Story 2. It depends. I've been in relationships where my partner was given a choice to either get their crap together or lose me because they were hurting me or our family with their behavior. I left the guy who said he changed and got mad at me for lovingly encouraging him on his path to self-improvement. Manage his anger problem, get his GED, etc. My husband, on the other hand, took it to heart. His ADHD and depression was making him lash out and scare me and our daughter, and he was being a grumpy schmuck. He has taken huge steps to improve his attitude, without me holding his hand. He didn't want to lose me, and I didn't want to lose him, but I needed him to figure out his crap because I was done enabling his behavior and doing his emotional labor. He's a smart and capable man, and is now a much better version of himself. A man I enjoy spending time with and our daughter loves to be near. That's love. That's maturity. I'm so happy he listened. Story 3. A lot of things can be done strategically to get someone in bed. People fake romantic interest all the time to get some. It's part of the game. They follow the steps, they do the things, they even spend the time. But what they rarely do is remember to be enthusiastic about sharing their hobbies and interests. That usually doesn't progress the getting some agenda. In fact, is a bit nerdy and annoying. But it's the kind of thing you do around people you genuinely like and enjoy being around. Maybe that's not the best example, but look for things that don't progress the agenda. Things that are honest and genuine parts of him that he's willing to share about himself, even if they don't make him look sexier. Story 4. When you get so sick you crap yourself jumping out of bed and your partner gets you to the shower then changes the bed sheets and scrubs the wall after taking you to the hospital. So you hopefully never know how bad it was. Then, bring you a new laptop in the hospital loaded with your fave shows. Yes, I did this. I loved him so much and everyone gets sick. Story 5. One day about 2 months into dating, my ex-girlfriend came out of the bathroom after a shower with nothing but a towel wrapped around her hair. I thought I was getting lucky until I noticed the concerned look on her face, and she goes, "Feel this." There was a small, hard lump. We both just looked at each other and said, "We need to get that checked out tomorrow." Not you, we. English was in their first language, so I took the time the next morning to call doctors and explain until one would see her. I blocked out my work schedule. I work for myself and drove her to the appointment, which ended up being 3 days later. I asked her if she wanted me to come in with her, and she said no and that it was okay. As I sat in the waiting room waiting for her, I had the "what if this is the C word" thought process. I pictured her bald, skinny, pale, and thought to myself, how would stick by her through that? I pictured my life without her and started tearing up. That's when I knew I loved her. She came out of the back of the office and flashed a slight smile in my direction as she walked through the door and said, "We'll know in a couple days." Luckily, it ended up being a benign cyst, but that week or so of not knowing what was going on was one of the scariest times of my life and hers. After we got the news, I took her to a nice celebratory dinner at a fancy Brazilian steakhouse. She was Brazilian, so it seemed fitting. We were giddy the whole dinner, and after we finished dessert, she was holding my hand on the table looking at me and goes, "Obrigado." Thank you, in Portuguese. Under her breath, and I responded, "You're welcome, Katina. I'm glad you like dinner." And she goes, "Not for dinner, for this week. I don't know how I would have gone through it without you. Te amo." That was the first time she ever said "I love you" in any language, let alone her native one, though I hadn't told her how I felt that week or how going through everything with her made me feel. I think she knew my actions said it all. I let the words linger for a second and responded, "I love you too." I still do love her, even if we are no longer together, and will always wish her the absolute best. Story 6. I think that happiness is the main and very likely only goal in this life. When you love someone, it makes you happy to make the other one happy. This applies to any kind of love. Parental love, relationships, your dog, and so on. When I've been in love, I would do anything just to cheer up and see my partner happy. And even after breaking up, seeing her sad makes me extremely sad. I'm not in love with her. There's no desire. We're friends, but I still love her as a friend. Story 7. Male perspective. When I walk into a room she's already in, my eyes immediately lock hers and follow her in an endearing manner. They will legitimately be concerned when you're in a rut or a weak spot and will put forth genuine effort to be there or make you laugh. How they speak about you when you're present versus gone is the same no matter what crowd or setting. They will legitimately be interested in all the parts of your life, good and bad, and try to be a positive influence and never let you deviate from your path or leave you if you fall. There will be a legitimate effort to understand you, even when you're making them mad or driving them away, to a point. They will listen to what you say and get to know how you like things or how to support you when you're struggling, and will do these things when they notice it coming, many times before you even do. They will express genuine agony at the thought of losing you. and will put pride aside and protect what you have and see that it grows. They'll be kind-hearted towards you in a way that's just not present with anyone else. They'll show their fears, let themselves be vulnerable in your presence or trust they're looked after and safe in your presence. Well, they ask personal life questions and to give your input and perspective on the serious things you have going on internally. And the most important of all, when it gets rough and strained, they will endure and love you even more. Obviously, there's exceptions to many of these, but these are the things I find myself doing for my wife and don't really have the ability to control. It just happens and morphs out of the connection. I've been close to some others in my past, even loved some, but none of that has the depth and power of what I have with her. And currently, we're not doing good. She had a mental breakdown and is wanting a divorce and doesn't have her approximation of events straight, and I'm fighting like hell to keep going and love her through it. By far the most stressful and difficult period of my entire life. Wish us luck, and I wish you good luck as well. Story 8. Not pushing you into things that are desires by nature, like intimate things, but that has to be long-term. Some people will be respectful but impure, but if it's something that keeps going with none of that impurity attached, no anger when you refuse advances, no disappointment or silent treatment for it, that's how you know. My fiancé was my first experience with someone who didn't see me as just a body, and whenever I said no or when I had to stop for my comfort, they would stop. They would hold me, ask if I'm okay and if I needed something. There was never anger or disappointment, never any bad feelings, only affection. That's how I knew. Story 9. God, there are so many but a few memorable signs of mine. We were dating for literally 5 minutes and I'd gotten too intoxicated and made a mess everywhere. He cleaned me up, made sure I felt safe, and stayed up to make sure he could look after me if needs be. He makes sure that we slow dance every single Sunday. It doesn't matter if we're in public or private. If music comes on, he will always dance with me. He was running late to work one morning whilst I was still in bed. He took extra care not to wake me up and spent an extra 5 minutes removing the snow off my car, even if it meant he was even later. I didn't have to go to work for another hour. He also wrote I love you on the leftover ice on the bonnet. I spent 5 days in another country visiting a friend, and by day 4, he had bought an engagement ring because he never wanted to be apart. We had been together for 8 months. Story 10. My partner tells me about things he loves about me that aren't just about my body. He says he loves the way I laugh, that it reminds him of Marge Simpson, that he loves when I stare at him because it makes him like a deer caught in the headlights. My eyes are cat-like and he feels like a mouse about to be played with or consumed. Likewise, his actions show a similar story. When I cook, he comes in the kitchen to talk to me, helping me with more tedious tasks. When I have errands to run, he wants to come with, even if there's nothing particularly for him to do. We could talk about anything, nothing, everything. There's always something to talk about with us. And we're both introverts, so it means a great deal that we could talk and not drain social batteries. He makes the bed for me. I could have the hardest day, but if the bed is made, it's a great comfort to me. He knows this and always makes it for me. I honestly wish everyone could have what my partner and I do. It's surreal. Story 11. Honestly, I can't tell you from the side of being loved because I have never experienced to be loved as much as I loved. From my perspective, I did everything I could. They needed me the most, neglecting my own needs and instinct because I truly loved, and even though it left marks on my soul, I'd always do it again. I think love isn't about not being hurt, but who's worth the pain. My parents today have been married for 45 years. My dad still loves my mom so incredibly he'd do anything instantly without a single thought to save her if she needed something. He's a really tough guy and always been my hero for the way he treated my mom and cared about his family no matter what. I've only seen him cry a couple times in my entire life, and it's always been because of her nearly losing her mind of mental illness. Story 12. My ex always pressured me to have intimacy. Sometimes, when I didn't feel well, I'd tell him I don't want to have intimacy now. He would sulk and guilt trip me until I give in and just get it over with. 5 years later, married to a wonderful man. The first time we cuddled, he got firm randomly, and I kind of tensed up. Then he told me, my body has this reaction because I'm attracted to you, but don't ever feel you need to do anything in response. I'm content with just cuddling you. It made me cry. Healing tears. Sometimes our cuddling turns to intimacy. Sometimes one of us isn't in the mood. But it's all relaxed and natural. No pressure. To me, that is a clear difference between desires and love. Of course, there are many aspects to this, and physical love is just a small part of it. But this is something very special to me. It's amazing how basic respect can be revolutionary in a relationship. Story 13. On my husband's birthday 1 year ago, I was pregnant and suffering from random morning sickness. We went to get donuts for his birthday, and on the way home, I suddenly felt sick. We couldn't stop the car, so I looked up when it barfed to try to avoid getting it on the donut box in my lap. I started bawling, and I felt so awful for ruining his birthday, but he did his best to reassure me and wasn't mad. He said it was the funniest thing he's ever seen. It was like a fountain. He still teases me about it, and it's been 6 years since then. I also needed a lot of help after the pregnancy because I didn't take it as well physically as my first one, and he was proactive and willingly helpful the entire time. Took me to the bathroom, helped me bathe, helped me deal with hemorrhoids, etc. He still calls me beautiful, even though he's seen me at my nastiest. He hasn't run for the hills yet, and it's been almost 13 years. I don't know. I think that's a sign of love. Story 14. Love is an active choice that you make every day, every moment of every day, even when you're annoyed, frustrated, and rubbing each other the wrong way. It's saying, hey, let's take some time to both calm down so we don't hurt each other. It's being willing to apologize when you have hurt one another and turning towards one another to repair. It's realizing that your actions and choices impact the other person and choosing to factor them in to show respect and consideration towards them. It's about catching yourself when you want to blame, when you start to harbor resentment, when you want to let contempt creep in, and not letting any of that linger or destroy the relationship. You choose one another over and over and over again. Love is about being willing to face the wounds that come up because romantic relationships hold a mirror up to us and working on healing those wounds together. Love is building a home, a safe space between the two of you that you agree to return to again and again and again. Forever isn't a guarantee. It's a choice you keep making. Story 15. My boyfriend had many issues when we started dating. The worst was his anger. Been together for 3 years now, and I can see how every day he makes an effort to be better. He used to yell and call me terrible things and punch holes in the wall because he was mad at his game. Now he can realize when he's getting to that point and what emotion he's actually feeling. Disappointment, annoyance, etc. And then calm himself down. He doesn't put it on me to control his emotions. He used to feel like talking to a toddler. Honey, you smashed one of your controllers again. While I'm cleaning it up for him. Let's go outside and have a little talk. Him. Screams and calls me names and blames it on me. Me. Okay, you're still feeling some very big emotions. What is the biggest emotion you feel right now? Him. My teammates play like crap. Me. No, my poor baby. That must be very annoying. Him. Yeah, it is. I tell them what to do and they don't do it. Now he handles his emotions himself, and the biggest reason he wanted to learn emotional intelligence? Our 3 cats and myself would flinch at any sudden movement he made while at his desk. He could be celebrating and happy and fling his arms up in the air, and the cats would panic and run out of the room. I would sit up and start cleaning. He realized he made us feel the same way his dad made him feel. He took it upon himself to better himself for us and works on himself every day for our sake. Story 16. Reasons I know my husband loves me. He's seen me go through hell, losing almost my entire family for a completely stupid reason, and stuck by me and helped me navigate and cope with the pain and feelings from that. He's always encouraged and supported my goals, whether it was going to school to get my degree, exercising more, writing a book, changing jobs, etc. He's never diminished them or told me they were unattainable. He has no problem buying feminine products for me or our daughters. He has chosen to stay home with me in lieu of going out with his friends on occasion because me or one of our kids were sick. He's also come home early on his nights out because he missed us before. He's held my hand through 3 C-sections and quite literally seen my insides. He also helped me with the recovery after each of these. Changing bandages, making sure I stay on time for pain medication, driving me to appointments until I'm cleared to drive. He'll sometimes come home with treats. Candy, snacks, or sometimes little gifts or knickknacks. After work just because he was thinking of me or thought I'd like it. A recent example is he bought me a neck fan because I'd been running outside and it's hot there. And he thought it would keep me cooler. He also bought me a foot massager as one of my birthday gifts recently so my feet can relax after running. He lets me talk about my day at work and doesn't get irritated at how much I talk. He still tells me I'm beautiful after 15 years together. He eats all the toppings I don't like on pizza. He never goes to Taco Bell and comes back without getting me tacos. I could go on, but these are the first things that popped into my head. Neither of us are perfect, but we do love each other. Story 17. Doing small, subtle favors without expecting any payback at all. I drink water, or rather tea, about 98% of my time these days, but every now and then I buy myself Fanta. It's my favorite soda. European Fanta, that is. About 10 years ago, when I was still together with my back then significant other, we would do things together on a regular basis. Sometimes this would be movie night at her place. One time I arrived and was in the living room, then she occasionally mentioned to me, "Oh, by the way, there's a Fanta in my fridge because I know you like it." I was surprised how much of an impact this little gesture had. There are 2 other people in my life who do this. One is my mom. She would buy me Fanta when I visit her, and the other is my best friend who would buy Fanta when I come over to visit them. Best friend, his wife, my godchild. My best friend regularly shows me that he loves me, as do I to him, for example. One time when I came back home from Mexico, I would arrive at the airport shortly before midnight.
The next train to my hometown wouldn't leave before morning, so around 7 hours waiting time. I called my best friend because I know I can count on him and told him my story. Then drove 90 minutes to the airport just to pick me up, dropped me off at home, and then he went home to his wife again. Story 18. In my personal journey, I found a few telltale signs that someone's affections extend beyond physical attraction. Genuine love prioritizes understanding. They will actively listen, seek your point of view, and value your thoughts. This extends to recognizing your emotions and responding to your needs. They'll make sacrifices for you, putting your happiness before theirs, showing a selfless embracing of your well-being. Remember that communication and consistency are key. Last but not least, they will embrace all your imperfections, making you feel cherished just as you are. Love sees beyond flaws. Story 19. Love is a state of mind, not an emotion. Love is there between friends, mentors, and family too, not just so-called lovers. Love is void of attachment. Have you heard the saying about teaching a man fish over getting a man a fish? Love is teaching and giving and caring. You want to make them happy or dedicated to them. Desire is giving for the expectation of something in return. Want them to make you happy. To test it, just pick up the vibe. It doesn't matter what someone else is feeling, you can't control that. Just focus on you and things will work out. If you're willing to be truthful and open about how you really feel instead of covering it up and not admitting it, then you'll know what you feel. Just remember how you feel towards your mom and dad or siblings. You don't feel like coddling them all the time or being around them, but you would be there for them and help unconditionally without expecting it to make you happy or be pleasurable in return. Story 20. So, I knew my girlfriend, now my wife, loved me when I broke my collarbone at a party. I called her for help. She drove 50 miles to me and took me to the ER. Not only that, but then she took 2 weeks off work to make sure I was okay the whole time. At the time, I thought it was just because she was a nurse and it's in her to be that way, but somehow I just knew she was the one and really loved me. I also made it official with her that week because at the time, she wasn't really my girlfriend yet. We were just friends with benefits, really, because we lived 50 miles apart and lived different lives, but here we are, 12 years later, married with 4 kids between us. Lol. It was also the little things she has always done throughout our time together, like picking up my favorite treat from a gas station she would stop at, etc. Trust me, you know when they love you and you know when it's just desire. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button for more videos like this. Story 21. Love looks the same whether it's romantic love or not. It's not gifts or compliments or favors. It's someone who cares about you as a whole person, not just what they can get from you. Someone invested in your well-being to the same degree that they're invested in their own. Someone who is there for the bad times and not just the good. And someone who is willing to do hard or uncomfortable things for the sake of having a healthy relationship, like having difficult conversations. For me, I'd rather do anything with someone I love than do it alone. Take them to the ER? Absolutely. Sit with them in line at the DMV? Yes. Even if I'm not getting something out of it, I enjoy being around them. And I want them to have a good and happy life, even if that isn't with me. It takes time to know if you love someone and are not just infatuated or getting something out of the relationship. You have to see what a person is really like, not just your idea of that person or what they're putting forward. For me, it was a few months into dating my now partner, and they had to go to the ER in a lot of pain. I had no idea why. They were in the hospital all day. They were in too much pain to speak. I was exhausted and worried, but I would never have missed the chance to be with them through that. That was where I wanted to be more than anything. Not because I know hospital trips are a part of a committed relationship, so it's just part of the whole deal. Not because I need someone to take me to the ER if I ever need to go. Even if we weren't dating, I would have gone with them. I care about them as a whole person, not just as my partner, or as a way to have a romantic relationship. Story 22. When I met my now wife, I was unemployed and living with my ex-girlfriend. I got a job and got laid off 2 months later. I got another job and got laid off 2 months later. I ended up being out of work for a year, but she stuck with me. After we got married, she spent a year putting together a book that had all the photos of our wedding, both the pro ones and ones our friends took. She did this secretly right in front of me, and I never suspected it. She gave me the book as a gift on our 4th anniversary, which was the first trip we were able to take post-pandemic. When I opened the gift, I found she had made me a very beautiful book that was about 1.5 inches thick. She had included all kinds of things like inside jokes between us, memorable times we spent together, all of our friends and family, and photos of us at the wedding with them. So many references to things we both loved, and it was super obvious she had put her heart and soul into making the book. It brought me to tears. And it was at that moment, any doubt of how deeply she felt towards me was removed, and it made me love her more than I already did. She's definitely a keeper. A year of unemployment and still she stayed. She's a keeper, and also probably a saint. Story 23. I'm talking to this girl right now, and she's from the Philippines. I'm from the States, specifically in California, and we met online. Not gonna lie, I've sent her some money before. Not crazy amounts, but considerable amount to cover for food and rent. Had a bit of a relapse because I just didn't want to become sort of an enabler, but she's a really sweet girl, and I hear all the stories of older men seeing these young women from the Philippines, thinking it's love or it's just for security or green card purposes. For a while, I can help it to feel the same way, but from what I'm hearing and her determination to communicate effectively to me, makes me feel as if she really loves me. She takes genuine interest, and I don't know if I'm being naive or I'm being played really well, if this is true love, but I feel that there's something there. I do as well have the same question, whether it's true love or not. It's just plain fun with ulterior motives, cash grab, so I'm curious to see what other folks in this post have to share. Story 24. Doing little things when no one is looking. Things that don't get rewarded and no one is super thankful for. Also not expecting anything for it. And doing them just because you want to make your loved person's life easier or less stressful. This can be platonic too. You can love your family and friends, as well as your significant other. These kinds of things are individual to the people you're doing them to, so it can be hard to list them. I had a friend that used to tell me, "Let me know when you get home," or used to remind me to take my hair clips out of my hair when driving. Little things like that. Story 25. Really depends on you. Relationships take love, compassion, kindness, intimacy, vulnerability, and respect. Ask yourself, are they kind to you? Do they respect you? Can you be vulnerable and not feel judgment? What about intimacy? Is it just intimacy, or can you be emotionally intimate, socially intimate, spiritually intimate? What intimacy means to you is something you need to ask yourself. And what you need to feel loved is all unique to you. We tend to crave a relationship because we desire connection, but are unwilling to be honest with ourselves about what our needs are, which makes it difficult to communicate with our partners. Falling in love is easy. Developing connection and deepening our love, compassion, and empathy for one another is hard. I suggest you check out this video, Green Flags. Story 26. It could be a wide array of things depending on the person, but points I'll look out for is that they make time for you as opposed to just being around you when it's convenient for them. They put effort and take initiative to create opportunities to spend time with you. They take your concerns seriously. They remember things that are important for you. They don't avoid you or go silent when you're going through something hard or when you're sick or in a grumpy mood. They put effort in communicating clearly and not leave things ambiguous. They reciprocate you showing them affection and care in their own way without you having to ask. They pay attention to what ways you like to receive affection, etc. That's a long list, and it could go on, but doesn't feel like doing extra work or a chore if you really love the person, I think. Story 27. I have a lot of stomach problems that plague me daily. Last month was awful. One day my boyfriend got up around the same time I did before I went to work, which is a rarity. We smoked a cigarette before I was supposed to leave, and unfortunately he made it to the bathroom before I did. Less than a minute after he got in there, my stomach cramped terribly, and I fully crapped my pants in the middle of the living room. When he came out, he asked why I hadn't left yet. I explained to him embarrassingly, and he and I made jokes about it together. After I got out of the shower, about an hour late to work at this point, my boyfriend was making me coffee and gathered the things I needed for the day. He gave me a hug and a kiss and said, "Try and have a good day today, poop pants." And that whole experience made me have a massive gratitude that I've never found before. He loves me, regardless of what happens. Even when I'm carrying a load of crap in my now wasted jeans. Of course, we have our moments, probably more often than we should, but no matter what, we've never abandoned one another. Even in the worst times, he makes the effort to show that I can rely on him, and by God, that's special. Story 28. People make an effort. They care about you and are interested in listening to you. They don't mistreat you just because you aren't giving them what they want at the time, even if you both enjoy what they want then. They want to do more together than Netflix and chill and talk about intimacy. Don't get me wrong, my longest-term partner, whom I love an insane amount and would be happy simply sitting next to for the rest of my life, enjoys convos with me and engaging in her intimate life a ton, but that is far from it. We each have expressed feeling guilty focusing on intimacy at times because we know and want to show that we each are more than an object to one another. People will want to get to know your life and those in it. They seem engaged, outside depression or crisis, etc. They want you to do well in your life for you, not because it means they got the sexiest partner or something. Despite that being a facet one can enjoy being complimented for. Story 29. Desire is convenient. Desire is easy. Desire is temporary and short-sighted. Love is inconvenient. Love is long-lasting. Love takes work, but it shouldn't be hard work. Love is the kind of work that therapy is. It can be difficult, but it makes us better. Let me tell a story. A woman and a man were dating. Neither had experienced unconditional love from people. Both expected abandonment, but hoped for something good. After only 3 months, the man had a concussion at work that verges on traumatic brain injury. He could barely eat or walk a straight line from initial symptoms and had memory issues, among other things. He expected the woman to leave and even told her if she wanted an out, this was it. He'd lost his job, he lost the workers' comp because it was against a big company, and he could barely afford to live. He couldn't give her anything. And with the temper issues he had previously dealt with surfacing again due to the concussion, he felt more like a burden than anything. She just shook her head and was thankful she was bulky enough and strong enough to help him bear his weight and help him to appointments. She worked in healthcare, so it didn't bother her. She knew it could take a while, but she wanted to help him get better. And he did, slowly. And she learned to speak up more, which helped with him harnessing his temper. He fought to get better for her. Things improved almost to baseline, and they were married a little over a year later. Fast forward, with her first child, he was constantly attentive, helped her get up out of bed when her hips stopped working, attended every appointment he could, and was so involved and knew her so well he could often tell what she needed before she did. She felt helpless and exhausted, but he asked very little of her and helped as much as he could after the baby came. He never expected anything in return. He brought up issues as she was more able to deal with them, and she worked on herself to better help manage their family. A different person, people with different values, might have made the story completely different, but love and commitment mean something to some people. Those are the people that tend to genuinely love, not just desires. Story 30. My boyfriend asked me out during a short period when I dressed in shorts and tight shirts. On our first date, I told him how uncomfortable the clothes were, and I was only doing it because my mom always gave me the advice, fake it till you make it. I was trying to fake being happy and confident. From then on, he would let me wear his shirts, and we would only go out to hang with his friends at their place, so it didn't need to dress up. He could wear more comfortable clothes. I moved in with him and his mom and brother at 17 years old. I get to wear comfy clothes every day, and I've gained a lot of confidence. Now, crop tops are part of my comfy clothes as long as they aren't tight. I'm also a very gassy person who was very embarrassed by it at first, but he would announce his farts beforehand, so I started doing the same. Now, while he's playing his game, I'm laying in his bed by his desk. Every few minutes, one of us will go, I got a fart. Toot, laugh. But then I have a silent one. I won't say anything until after. I'll just go up to him, give him a kiss on the cheek, and whisper, I farted. And then we both burst out laughing and cackling. I love my boy. Story 31. There's a couple I can't think of, but most important to me is if in the first few weeks, if you and him both sleep in the same bed without intimacy, take a shower together without intimacy, you found yourself a good one. And when he literally supports you in every decision or thing you want to do or make, despite if he likes it or not. My man made us hamburger helper for dinner the other night because I was craving it. He ate it, and he hates hamburger helper, apparently. I swore to never have him make it again. Remember, folks, relationships aren't 50-50. They're sometimes 20-80 and vice versa. You have to be okay with that. And if you're not, then a long-term relationship will be very hard for you to accept. Story 32. Now, obviously, I wouldn't wish this on anyone, but I think a health scare is one of the biggest proving grounds for a relationship. I had 2 big ones in my time. And during the first one, the girl I was dating couldn't even be bothered to text me back 1 to 2 times a day. I wasn't asking for much, but she never came to visit me. Never responded to any messages, never called on her way back, and after all that, she either cheated on me or put herself in positions that seemed cheating adjacent to me and the others in her circle. So that one didn't last. The second big health scare I had, the girl I was with who worked crazy swing shift hours would call me, text me, come visit and remind me to take my hourly meds even in the middle of the night. She did as much as she could, and more than my previous experiences led me to expect someone to do. And I knew before, during, and after that, she was the one. Now we're married. Then she came down with something serious and quite debilitating. I never once felt inconvenient or like a chore when I was helping her to and from the bathroom, cooking all the meals, doing all the chores, working from home, taking her to appointments, and more. Not once did I think, I can't wait till she's better so she can help again. The work was always second to, I really hope she can pull through this so she's not in pain and don't lose her. She's on the mend and we're doing much better now. Long rant, all to say, in sickness and in health really matters. And I feel like it's a sign that you love someone to their core. Story 33. Desire is a perfectly fine bedfellow to affection during the first 6 months. After that, people tend to bond on a more meaningful level with a more floral bouquet of endorphins. After about 2 years is when there's a drop off those hot, quick, and pure hormones, and the slower drip, longer-term hormones begin piling on. Most people refer to this as the end of the honeymoon phase. Many early life relationships don't survive this as they suddenly don't feel as strongly about their partner. They assume it's because they don't love them anymore. But in truth, it's a natural part of the relationship building toward long-lasting love and affection. Every step is important, even the desire part. Certainly if the desire is not accompanied by affection, that's reason for concern. It pays to trust your gut in the early days of a relationship. Story 34. The person regularly asks you how you're doing and if you have any problems you want to share. People in the fool-around culture are usually only there for the intimacy, not to help the other person deal with tough times. They keep memorabilia of important events that involve you too. For example, they'll keep Christmas cards, notes, drawings, and things you give them. They'll keep non-intimate pictures of you. They'll frame pictures of the two of you together. The person will actually put in a lot of effort to help you in any way possible if you need help. For example, they will ask for a day off from work if you need help moving. If you're not feeling well, they will visit you and help take care of you. Maybe they'll cook for you or help clean up your place while you're sick. From time to time, they'll try to surprise you with something. Maybe they'll learn a new skill to impress you or make you happy. For example, a normal person without cooking skills might end up trying to learn online how to cook like Gordon Ramsay just so they could properly cook steak for you. Maybe they'll even try to learn how to play a musical instrument to play for you or even sing. Someone who really cares for you would be willing to sacrifice time and put an effort to help you and make you feel as best as possible. Anyone who can't even be bothered to give you a minute of their time to listen to your worries or help you is not someone who actually loves you. And one final thing that is meant for couples who have already been together for a year or more. If for some reason you get into a horrible accident or situation where you lose your ability to properly function as a human being, and this person still stays beside you, then you know you've got a real lover. I've seen many situations where a man or woman decided to stay with their lover even though their partner has already become extremely ugly or quadriplegic. Their love is true because physical appearances or disability isn't enough to stop their love anymore. This is the sort of love you should aim for. Story 35. When my husband and I first got intimate with each other, I was really worried that he would just pull away if I didn't offer anything like that. He was always really sweet and made sure it was something I wanted to do before instigating. One night I thought I was going to have a full-blown panic attack. He said that he was in the mood and wanted to know if I wanted to have fun that night. I had just finished working a double and was really tired. I told him, "No, sorry, I'm just really tired. I was going to go to bed. I had a big day at work." He looked at me like I was insane and said, "Why are you sorry?" I said, "Well, you said you wanted to get together tonight and have some fun, but I'm just too tired right now." And he sighed and said, "So are you saying sorry for saying no, or are you apologizing for being tired?" Both are weird apologies, by the way. I just laughed and said, "Okay, well, I'm going to bed." He said, "Okay, is it okay if I lay down with you?" I said, "Yeah, that's fine." I didn't pry any further once we were in bed. I laid down to go to sleep. He laid down next to me and started massaging my back. I fell asleep almost immediately. When I woke up, it was almost 7.5 hours later. He was up, and when I asked what he was doing, he said that he was planning to go back to work and needed to take a shower, but he put the coffee pot on so I had some fresh coffee and took out the sugar and creamer for me. I could smell the fresh coffee wafting through the house into the bedroom. You know, they always say there's that one point when you just know. That's that one point for me. Story 36. I could say so many things. My current partner and future husband has been the first person to make me feel so wholly loved. Never got weirded out by my strange hobbies. He encourages me, sends me cool ideas, and even goes to conventions with me. He saves up money so he can help me buy stuff to add to my collections. He's so supportive of everything I do. He throws himself into anything and everything I need help with. He listens to me when I talk and actually remembers the stuff I say. Within his abilities, anyway. He does have ADHD, lol. He's come up with ideas to help make my physical hobbies easier on my body. He takes care of me and walks me to the bathroom when walking by myself is way too painful. He gets me drinks, food, whatever I need when getting out of bed hurts too much. He opens my drinks when my hands don't want to work. He's working towards a career that he not only really enjoys, but I'll pay him a wonderful salary so I don't have to work if I don't want to, and I can throw myself into my own hobbies full time. He wants to be able to provide for our family and lets me be the housewife I want to be. He's coming up with a plan so that we can live our homesteading dreams on a plot of land wherever we choose. And the best thing of all, the man that was so anti-marriage, didn't like the idea of it all, basically scared that marrying someone would cause them to turn into some evil creature as he'd witnessed with his own friends' marriage throughout his life. He wants to marry me. Me, of all people. He wants to marry me. I knew from our first date I wanted to be his wife and spend my life with him, and I finally get to be that in the next couple of years. He told me he couldn't imagine life without me, that I am his endgame. He feels confident and comfortable enough with me to make that commitment to me. I'd have stayed regardless of whether he wanted to or not, but I always knew I'd change his mind, and I did. Even though it doesn't feel like a sacrifice he's making, I feel like that's the ultimate move of him showing me how much he truly does love me. I could go on forever about how incredible he is, but I think I've made my point. Now I'm going to cry over how lucky I am. Well, if you like these stories, here's more. YouTube thinks you're going to love this. Catch you in that video.